doing a CV teardown today. I would love to do that. So if you want your profile or resume torn down by the best in the biz, by Rob himself, we're going to look through, and Rob's going to evaluate, what's your chances of standing out with a CV like this or with a profile like this. So drop it in the chat or in the comments, and anyone who's selected, we're going to give you 500 BDXN, which is awesome. We're just going to give you 500 BDXN. We'll DM you straight away afterwards to give you that. But jumping on what you just said there, Rob, I have a lot of friends who have maybe been in the Web3 space, and then they're saying, actually, maybe it's AI, like maybe they move into AI. As a agency, do you see kind of this benefit of people, that same kind of movement of people in Web3 moving into AI, or do you see the reverse? Do you see people from AI kind of coming into Web3? What are you kind of seeing?
On both sides. I see it on both sides. So similar to, let's go back to sort of like the golden days of Web3 during the bull market. Now, a lot of founders were talking to me, and they were saying, Rob, I need product, I need engineering, database, data is a huge thing at the moment in Web3. And they were saying, we want people with FAANG backgrounds. Now, they weren't specifically looking to another. They were trying to get us to go and find someone who'd be in a software developer level for Google, or not limiting solely to FAANG, sort of like just outside of that area as well. And I think what they were looking to do was just find the best of the best in terms of pedigree and pull them into the space. I think with AI, they're doing something similar with Web3, where the AI roles that we have reach out to us at the moment, and we do have a lot of AI clients reaching out to us, Venice, Sentient, Hugging Face, a ton of others. And essentially what they're saying is, look, we want the best Web3 developers who have been, they've done the FAANG, then have moved into the Web3 on the blockchain side, because it's probably one of the most difficult things to do on a programming level is the blockchain side, to then pull them into AI. We are also seeing Web3 companies, especially on the wallet side, move toward AI-generated trading, things like that. So I think they are all sort of intermixed. And I think that Web3 has become quite a strong name to pull from. So some of these sort of newly funded or extremely intelligent companies are looking at Web3 and they're poaching some of the top candidates from Web3, pulling them out of there and putting them into either solely AI space or a bit of a spin between Web3 and AI.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lady I love called Kathy Wood. She does the ARK Invest stuff, and she always talks about the convergence of technologies and the 5 big convergences, but 2 of those are, blockchain and AI. I'm definitely seeing this trend come through of kind of blockchain-enabled AI apps or utilities. And I think it's super interesting. Like you say, there's a lot of wallets are now adding AI onto what they do, and yeah, we definitely see this convergence.
Trading in the trading space, especially a lot of the wallets for AI automated trading bots, who are like Robinhood or the major trading platform, other areas like that. I'm all for it, because the more innovative we are, the more money from VCs that will come in, or not necessarily just VCs, but the more the general public will get involved. It'll generate a spin-off, more money, more jobs, more placements.
Feels like every week I see some version of a AI app that says it's a new algorithm and it can make you rich just by trading on your behalf. I'm like, it just seems the promise of every new AI advancement is like, okay, great, I've used Claude 4.5 or Opus, whatever, to generate a trading thing, and it's up 5,000%. I'm like, okay, like there's just so many of these. It's just an interesting moment. So I think one that we were chatting before, Robin, we were talking about maybe some of the nuances for people who are actually looking at the job market right now. They may have come from the Web2 world. They may have been in a startup, whether it's Series A, Series B, experience that hyper growth that can come with venture. What does it look like in terms of the differences within the companies with Web2 to Web3? What should candidates be expecting? But also, does it change how you approach finding a role in Web3?
Good question. There's definitely a difference when it comes to approaching a role in Web3 versus Web2. I mean, some of the basic points. I think off the top of my head. On the Web3 side, it's a lot more about networking. It's a lot more about conferences. It's a lot more on sort of those areas. When you look at the Web2 world, it's a lot more office focused and how you actually perform in the interview, then getting a successful application through. In Web3, I'd struggle to imagine someone sending a CV through to a company and not having done research on the company to try and reach out and try and discuss anything with the company. So that's where I think the network comes into it. Also in Web3, there's so many ways into a company. You know, when you think of the Web2 world and you think of like maybe a large bank or something, there's no real community forum that you can jump on and speak with the engineers direct, or there's no competitions you can join. There's no conferences where you can see the builders there and then. Whereas when you look at sort of similar companies in the Web3 space, they've all got a community, Discord, even some of them on LinkedIn now have the community pages on there, or it's on X. So I think Web3, it's a lot more social. And, you know, if you're looking to approach any company in Web3, I would suggest 100% do your background, look into the communities, look into the networks. You know, you will know a couple of people at a conference who have worked there before or are friends with a hiring manager. We're still so new in this space that someone you talk to tomorrow could be the founder of the next unicorn in Web3.
Yeah.
So it's just making sure you keep those connections, create a connection, be truthful, be honest, be helpful with each other, and sort of push forward.
I think Rob may have a dodgy internet connection, and it's just me. Whilst Rob reconnects, I'm just going to remind everyone that you can submit your CV in the chat or in the comments, and Rob's going to review it for him once he figures out his internet. I think you got some weak signal going on there, Rob. But I love what you're saying, because there's I go to a ton of meetups. I'm in Lisbon, and there's one guy, I'm thinking of him now. Every meetup I go, he's always there, and every time I chat to him, he's always got a new project. I'm like, hey, how's that project going? He's like, yeah, we scrapped it. We're building something new. Like, this is the future. And it's always some evolution of like the last one, but it's repackaged as something new. And that kind of goes to your point of, you never know, like everyone you meet is always like building. And I feel like more so than ever, it's the most relational space in the world is Web3. And everyone's DMs are always open, and conferences, you kind of see the same people as well. It's really nice.
I can't tell you how many times at a conference, and bearing in mind, as a recruiter at a conference, you're not someone that people want to go towards and jump on and sort of talk with, to be honest with you. But the amount of times that I've ended up in a hotel corridor because one of the side events are in the hotel, and I've been talking to someone, and probably 4 years ago, I got talking to a gentleman called Armin, and he's the founder of Puffer. Now, back then, Puffer Finance, now a huge, absolutely massive company. But back then, they weren't anywhere near as big. And I was talking to him, just chatting away. Then I spoke to Christina, who's their CMO, and then I spoke to the CTO at the time. And then one of my friends said, oh, I saw you talking to them. They're actually looking for an XYZ. So we started working with them, and that's how quickly it spins. 4 years later, I still talk to him. I still place for him. I still do the majority of his headhunting. It's as easy as that. And that's where the network side comes into it. I challenge anyone to give me a scenario in Web2 where that sort of situation unfolded.
Yeah, it's so true. One of the other things we've seen at the moment as well, Rob, is a lot around AI, and it's just general disruption to the system, right? So AI's disruption to how you build companies, to how you code. We're definitely seeing that in the hiring world as well. We have a strong take that AI is actually breaking the traditional hiring. CVs are getting harder to trust. And a quick reminder, we will be doing a CV reviews or a profile review. So do just drop it in the comments, and we'll review that shortly. And we are building with Bondex the most trusted profiles in the world, because we see this huge tidal wave of botted CVs and botted resumes. And with that in mind, like, what's your perspective on AI and how it's affecting the hiring industry at the moment?
Yeah, so I mean, to start with the point on AI, I love AI. I'm a big fan of AI. I would never turn around and say, reduce your staff by 50% and bring in AI bots to take over. What I would say is train everyone how to use AI, so the next 10 hires you make can be more sort of essential and can be, more sort of improvements on the company. In terms of AI from a CV point of view, although you can put your details into AI, ask it to create a CV, essentially it is going to generate a similar CV for you as for anyone else who's putting it into Grok. We had the conversation before, Paul, where I said, if both myself and you put our details into Grok and asked it to generate a CV, the likelihood is it would come out pretty similar. So although you're turning to AI to create a unique approach on your CV, it is creating a generic approach. And these are being flagged by other AI bots or by hiring managers as constructed with AI, too much fluff, not the correct information in it. And some of them are being auto-rejected before they've got through to a real screening stage. So I think AI is good. I think it's great to use for individual tasks, and it's great to use for very specific areas. But I think entrusting it with the entirety of creating a complete CV or complete domain or other areas for you, I think you're taking a bit of a risk. It is currently only as good, at least on the basic level, only as good as the information you're putting into it. If you can give it the full scenario, the full scope, the research on the company that you're applying to, then yes, it can be good. But if you're just trying a quick copy and paste, I don't think it's the way forward.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? I think people have very different takes on it. I think that going back to you said your first part about the disruption AI is bringing to companies themselves and hiring. We've in Bondex become an absolute team of nerds where everyone's vibe coding and like just nerding out on different skills that are found on Claude or different automations that can be created. And we definitely feel like we are in a moment where every employee needs to be AI armed, or AI leveraged, because without that, there'll be companies that do have AI leveraged, employees within them, and it's not just for coders, So you met David earlier, but we just on a call earlier, and I joked to David, like David, like you have to jump into Claude Code and learn this stuff because it's in marketing, it's changing everything. It's changing how you build out your copy. It's changing how you build out your strategy. And that idea of like being leveraged in AI in your role, I think it's only going to become more and more prominent. And I saw that the Spotify CEO just came out and said their senior devs, they've not even touched a line of code. They've just been orchestrating for the last 3 months. And other people are saying, okay, well now like the amount they're spending on tokens is kind of starting to rack up significantly, that whether they can see it as like, oh, like this is actual employee wages, thousands of dollars each month, and now being spent on tokens and to help kind of generate more operational efficiencies. I think go for it.
Sorry, I think when the AI comes with the CV side, I think when you can bring a verification layer into that as well, because AI can write whatever you tell it to write, but it's up to you to dictate what is true and what isn't true when going forward to the client.
It's crazy. I mean, I find a few things crazy. One, you can say anything on LinkedIn and a recruiter may reach out to you. You can say, hey, like I'm the CEO of Hype. I don't know, like it's impossible to know, right? And then it's like, well, actually, no, you can do references, and I'll be honest, like references are pretty easy to fake nowadays. They're getting easier and easier to fake. It's definitely what Bondex we're trying to solve, like building trusted profiles. But yeah, do you have any experience with that yourself, Rob, in terms of finding like just total fakes?
Yeah, it's more in a bull market that we see it. We still see it in the bear market, but it's more in a bull market that we see it when clients are scrambling to just hire because of the workload that's coming through, or because they need to hit mainnet in a certain time period, or they just want to push forward. So we've had scenarios where it's completely fake profiles. There's a team behind them generating the code. It's one person, and once you hire that person, other people are doing things in the background, and they're just not true. They're not real. But we've also seen it on the flip side where it's been a genuine candidate. We've just not been able to get the reference in time. It's so easy to say, give me a reference, like, let me speak to them this week. So you pass me the details of your current company. So it's going to be people who are maybe 3, 4, 5 years old. I reach out to them. They could be on holiday. They could be, busy, missing, whatever it is, not work for the company anymore. It doesn't matter what the scenario is. And then it draws down to the fact of, we're not able to get the references. It's not necessarily because you're lying. It's just because the person that we're trying to reach out to has no interest in talking to us, or is too busy, or has moved away from the space completely. So yeah, we've had it on that side as well, where we've lost a job because the candidate couldn't get the references in time.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And I feel like even the self-reported claims when it comes to education, I find like nuts. We released a list not so long ago of all the people who do educational courses around blockchain, of which there's around about 90, I think we listed, which is huge, like huge list. You can find it on our Twitter, because we want to help people upskill. When we created that list, we also added a column on there like who issues on-chain certification. So you've just studied all about on-chain, all about like the benefits of trust, and only, I think, must have been about like 10% of those, like a handful, like maybe 9 or 10, ended up actually issuing on-chain certification. I found crazy, which is like, oh, okay, like you do all this work and you're still just given a PDF, as in like, and that's gonna, I mean, I can just copy paste. I can literally copy paste that, and just change the name.
I mean,
and I feel like
LinkedIn attempted it with the sort of tests that you can do via their area, and GitHub, I know there's a couple of different tests you can do there, but I still think it has an opportunity to level up, where you can go to sort of a multiple KYCs, multiple sort of areas to really rectify.
Yeah, and you know, LinkedIn essentially are putting themselves at the point of authority, whereas I don't think LinkedIn can do as good a job as Harvard in some degrees, or as good a job as Oxford University, or as some of these like on-chain education providers like Matana. That's like, it's just, they just can't do as good a job. They can do, you know, some other stuff, but that's where on-chain accreditation for me is so important. And then being able to be, you know, at a glance, an employer should be able to see that and think, okay, great, he's definitely done that. Or, okay, great, he's definitely worked there. Shout out to a feature that we're going to be releasing soon around verification, coming very soon. And I think for us, having these this approach to like, how do you create a profile that's trusted in a space that is really hard to trust, especially like you say, in a bull market where everyone comes out their woodwork all of a sudden. Yeah, it's super interesting. Let me load this up. I'm going to get some profiles up here, Rob. So we are doing this little shout out. David's pinging me a few profiles now. Okay, great. They have come through. Some people have been active in the comments. Quick reminder, we will be giving 500 BDXN out to anyone's profile that we review. And Rob, what I want to do is, you see profiles every single day. You see a heck of a lot of them. And what I'd love you to do is to actually give some pretty brutal and honest feedback on the following profiles. So let me just share my screen, see if this works. And let me know what you see as a recruiter and what you think their chances are, and things that you changed and things that you improve. Be brutal. That's why they've shared their profile. So I'm going to start here with Alejandro, and let's see how we go. Bam. All right, Alejandro. Let me make this. Let me make this bigger. Maximize.
Yeah, it's a bit small too.
It is a bit small. Let me just do this. 1 second. Let me just do this. Make it wider. 69 and
So I'd always like to know the context behind it. I don't know if Alejandro is still with us, but the context behind it. So like, okay, so we've got your CV. Have we been applying for 10 roles each week, 20 roles a week? Have we been getting first stage interviews? Are we going a little bit too generic on the role? Are we shooting a little bit too high? Those type of things always help, because when we look at a CV, I think a recruiter probably takes, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds before they reject the CV. So that's not necessarily 10 seconds to read it. It's just within the first 10 seconds, they either continue or they reject. So as they go through the profile and they've been there after 10 seconds, great, you've got their attention, keep pushing forward. So I love on this, the area that's showing all the links. So as long as all those links work, so in the top right where you've got the Twitter, the Telegram, areas like that, that's super important. Always check them, check that they work. The amount of CVs that we have come through to us, and you click some of the links and they're broken, they don't work. It always becomes an issue on that area. In terms of pictures on CVs, I think it was something like that. There was a there was a poll done on pictures on CVs, and 70% of companies said that they'd rather not have pictures, or 70% of clients said they'd rather not have a picture on a CV for whatever reason. So again, debatable whether you want to keep a picture on there. Sometimes it looks more realistic. Sometimes, if you've got the wrong picture on there, it can be degrading to the profile. I'd probably say take it off, in my opinion. I don't think you need a picture on there. So we go to the open line: software engineer, blockchain, smart contracts, backend systems. Okay, yeah, it's a basic intro about what it is you're doing at the moment. Right there, though, I'd probably like to see your seniority at the very start. So where you've got software engineer, blockchain, and smart contracts, backend systems, very generic. So blockchain, so what? Just blockchain in general. Smart contracts, okay, that's pretty niche. Is it Rust? Is it Solidity? You mentioned Solidity next, so that's fine. But too generic on that part. You're either a smart contract developer or you're a backend developer. Don't go in too generic. You're tagging quite a lot of different technologies there, from PHP, Python, TypeScript, Java, C++. Again, we need to just keep this precise. At the moment, the market isn't hiring generalists. They're marketing for specialist areas. So make sure you really dig in that opening line, tailor your exact job title. Engineering background in automation, focus on software. That is
quite a lot there as well, isn't it? I feel like that's quite a lot, and it's not very well kind of formatted either. So it's just, I just see like a blur of text.
Exactly the same. There is too much on there. I think, I'm struggling to read it all. It looks like maybe AI's even written that for him. It's just too long. Keep it to a couple of sentences. This is your hook. Okay, so this is the 10 seconds. I've clicked off this profile, sadly, because this is your hook, the opportunity. The reason I've clicked off it already is I've seen software engineer, I've then seen blockchain, I've then seen smart contracts, I've then seen backend. Keep it niche. Just keep it short. If you're a backend dev, or even a full stack, if you're a full stack dev, cool, full stack, React, Node, boom, that's it.
Yeah.
Don't do too many areas, because at the moment, I don't know if I've got a Solidity role. I don't know if you're suitable because you're covering too much on it. Yeah. The next part with all the technologies, again, restrict it. Restrict the amount of technologies you're showing there. You're not an expert in Solidity, JavaScript, Python, PHP, C++, TypeScript, and Java. So
full stack. Yeah, so quite a lot of these candidates are full stack, right? So they'll be a bit of a generalist in that role anyway. Is your advice here, actually, you sure you can be a generalist, but go deep in one area? So like that C-shape.
Yeah, I'd even go as far as to, in your about me, when I'm an engineer, I would open it with, I'm a full stack engineer, in brackets, 70% front end, 30% back end.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting.
Because we've got so many openings for full stack developers and full stack engineers. And usually this is what happens. The company's got a team of front ends and a team of back ends. They want someone to work on the back end, but have the understanding of how the front end works, so that they can pass it over really smoothly, really swiftly. Yeah. So if you just say I'm a full stack engineer, if you have got through to a call with one of the team, the first thing they're going to say is, what percentage front end to back end? What do you prefer to work? Put your opinion in there. So again, do your research on the company, check out the job descriptions. If the job description doesn't weight towards back end or front end, then you're probably looking at the wrong company. They should be weighting towards, maybe not in a percentage, but they should be weighting the JD towards back end or front end. So sorry, I feel like I'm going in a bit too hard.
Really Alejandro, he's just sent this with some BDXN, but he's getting a full teardown. That's what we want. Be brutal. So now he's kind of now lying out, okay, this is his experience. It's cool. Not really heard of these companies before. Anything kind of stand out for you on when it comes to like laying out his experience?
So I like this part. I really like this part, because you're showing key responsibilities, design and implement. What I'd always say is always put credentials in there when you're talking about things that you're doing. Put almost your credentials to what you did. So when you're saying design and implement for mission critical environment, that just sounds like AI jargon. In mission critical environments, put some context. Like, I am in control of, or I have decreased the volume of X to Y. I have increased the volume of Y to Z. Put figures in there. Figures stand out so much. If you can throw a few percentages in there, again, like the front end, back end, this is what they like. That, it's not, you can make it up, so it's not a fact, but it's necessarily more tailoring towards, okay, this person's got a couple of facts on here. If you're doing bullet points, use them properly.
Yeah.
Don't use them sort of inline. Just use them a little bit better. But in terms of the structure to the full stack 2023 to present, that's the right amount of context. You just need to put more credibility into it. Don't say you use it on mission critical environments.
Yeah.
You know, what context is that?
Really good. And then I want to give a chance for someone else to get a shout out here as well. But anything here on education, interests? Interesting.
Interests far too much.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, interesting, that, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm not reading them. If you put 3 things in there, I'm going to read them. If you look at, for example, I don't know, let's just say look at Polygon. And Polygon are looking for people who, you know, they're starting a new trading product. So the cryptocurrencies trading and maybe 2 other areas. If you just put those 3 things in there as your interest, you're going to get so much more attention. Even if you failed the top part, they're going to see that and go, do you know what? It might be worth getting this person on a call simply because, you know, they've cut it down to there to run through sort of fitness, meditation, crypto investing, Web3 development, DeFi, SaaS, blockchain, AI.
Does that not help? For, you know, many people will put a lot of things in here thinking, okay, the more things I put in here, the more things I put up here in terms of like my hard skills and then my interests, the more chance that a recruiter will stumble upon my profile. Is that true? Or do you feel like it's worth actually being more ruthless and so that a recruiter can skim your profile rather than discover your profile?
Yeah, so it's going to work from, let's just say like a Boolean search, whether that's a Boolean search on GitHub or whether that's a Boolean search on LinkedIn or on any other platform. If they do a Boolean search and the more time that the keyword they're searching for comes up, great. That's going to pull your profile through. Now, bear in mind, they're Boolean searching for a specific role. They're not just searching for engineers in general. So when your profile comes through, they're going to see the generalist approach of it, and they're going to move literally within 3 or 4 seconds. They're going to click next. These people are searching thousands of profiles a day. They're going to go next, and yours is lost. Now, if you were a really, really senior sort of Python backend, React frontend, full stack developer with a strong interest in crypto mining, trading, and cybersecurity, they're still going to get your profile coming to that Boolean search. But because it's not a generalist profile, they're actually going to take the time to review it, read it, and go through it. So, you know, either way, you're going to get it pulled in there. But one way you're going to get it pulled in as a generalist, where they're going to move straight past it and there's no point in you writing it in the first place. And the second way you're going to get it pulled in there as a sort of like more of a specialist, a master within that area of technology.
Really good. Really good. Okay, let me just jump onto the next one. This is coming in on, okay, so Daviti Machavariani. I am pretty sure I said that right. So again, this is a Bondex profile. We can see he's verified his Twitter. He's verified his Discord. That's good. LinkedIn's unverified yet. We can see he's trusted. So I mean, he's done his KYC. He's added a resume. 85 streaks. Come on, Daviti. Okay, but coming back though, in terms of what kind of stands out in this front, we almost have the opposite issue, right? Like I'm IT support.
We've done a total 180 on it now, haven't we? We've gone completely too far the other way. So security, yeah, very general again. That could be security as a security guard at Tesco, or it could be cybersecurity, whatever. Open source software, I like. You know, if you're writing open source software in there, you better have a GitHub, and you better have a GitHub that's pretty frequently used, because that's the first thing I'd be looking for. Blockchain, Android. Okay, cool. Android, you know, if you know, that makes me think you're leaning towards a security developer on a mobile platform. So again, they're in pretty high demand at the moment. Strategy, yeah, I'm not sure what strategy an IT support person does, but I'd leave strategy out there unless you're going to be a COO or a biz ops or something like that. You don't need strategy as a developer.
It's interesting because, like, I look at this and I'm like, okay, great. He's obviously done some sort of keynote speaking or whatever, but this is so generic, like you say. And I kind of feel like these should really tell a story, and they should be specific, right? And they should kind of link up together. They shouldn't just be kind of generic. Which, let's go into the bio.
If you have 3 tags up there, and in your bio, if you have then Android, boom, little sentence on it. So you could open it up with, hi, you know, I'm Rob. I've worked in the crypto space since 2019, and I do XYZ. And then your 3 points at the top. So for me, it'd be recruiting, headhunting, something else, partnerships, anything like that, client work on that side. And you could almost put a little paragraph or a little sentence on each of those to give the context that you're asking for. So we see Android. What's the context behind it? Do you have an Android phone? Do you work dev on Android side? So that's the bio is really poor.
Yeah, I might use support. Yeah, it's pretty poor. Experience.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
My personal client, IT assistant at personal, BIA. I don't know. Is it trying to be an airline or something?
Who knows?
Phone manager, and then it's just really, really bad. The previous profile had it 80% right when it came to describing the experience in a role. They just had the layout slightly wrong, and they just had the content slightly wrong. They didn't put enough credibility in there.
Yeah. Interesting. And then finally, I think we're going to hit the same points here, but we've got a little NFT here. What's his NFT? Oh, we've got a few NFTs here. This is cool. So we know he's he's active, at least in Web3 on the, looks like he's active on the galaxies with the oats. But still kind of like quite generic, right? Is what you'd say, or anything else that I'm not saying?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's cool to have your certificate there. For the credentials on that side, as long as we can prove it again. Your university, I mean, apparently you've been there for 8 years, 5 months in as technical IT in the university still. I'm not sure how that works. You've got a degree there or you're working there? I'm not too sure. I've already clicked off your profile after reading the bio, to be honest with you. So at this point, it's more just, rubbing dirt.
How interesting. You kind of start at the top, and I like what you said, which is essentially this is your hook to get them in. And then you've got a bit more chunk here to get them in even more. But let's move on to the next one. This will be the last one. And we've got Stephen Obafemi. So Stephen Obafemi, what's your first thoughts again?
Okay, I like it. I like the... Initially, it's caught my 10 seconds because I can see slightly that there's a decent amount written on the about. I've seen IT support specialist, Web3 customer support. It tells me exactly what you're doing. So I know that if I'm searching for that role, I know that you are in that role right now. Looks pretty professional. You've got your verifications, leadership, communication, team management, MS PowerPoint. Cool. Again, it's some people can say, oh, that's really generic, but towards an IT support role, it's not as generic. I think maybe the team management and leadership, is pushing it a little bit. I'd rather know more on the technical side for your IT support. But yeah, let's go to the bio. Not doing IT, 8 years, network,
YouTube
hardware.
That's
always interesting.
Would you do this? I mean, I would. I'd definitely. Let's have a look. What's on Boom Sub Tech? Okay.
2 months, 3 months, 2 months. So I'm always drawn to how long ago you did anything.
Yeah, totally right. Have a quick look. Yeah, interesting. That's my personal account. You can see all my subscriptions here. Good to see Bondex right at the top, #1. Come on. So nice. Interesting. This must be Stephen. Really cool.
Additional, so I think the bio looks good to me. It looks quite good. I'd have to dive into it a little bit deeper. Server client management.
Right. There's no year on this, right? He's not actually said how long he's been here at Jiwa Hospital. But... Yeah.
So is that his current role?
Okay. Exactly. So he's not said. Yeah, he's not said.
Yeah. So I'm not even calling you now then. So you've done quite good at the start. If I had a support role that I was looking for, I would potentially be getting in touch because
we're happy. But here,
just falling short straight away. You've got more information on your opening line than you have about the role you're doing. And then again, on your interests, I'm not sure how other people look at it, but I don't care about your interests outside of work. I want to know about your interests in work. I don't care about, that you like going running and things like that. As far as I'm concerned, you can be working remotely anyway. So if you like to go running, cool. That might be something we can gel with. Like once we've hired you, it'll be a conversation we can have, and we can get on Strava and see who runs the furthest and things like that. But on your CV is your sales board. This is your pitch. So, Don't pitch me that you can run. Pitch me about the crypto areas, the trading, the blockchain, the technologies that you're working with. Get me excited with that area. Let me match a couple of things to what I'm actually looking for. I'm not looking for a runner.
Good. It's so good to hear, because actually, you know, I hear people saying the opposite. Love seeing in the running. I think very similarly, which is it does not move the needle on it whatsoever, unless I would probably add a caveat, unless you've done something of significance. So like if you've done 5 ultra marathons, I'm like, okay, that shows a bit of stamina. Or if you've been I just found out yesterday, last week, that a guy who works for us is a world champion, and I'm like, wow, how do we not know this?
But that's when I think you should find out. I think that's almost the cultural stage. That's when I want to start talking about things like this, whether I'm just about to hire you, and that can be your closing statement, or whether you've been working for the company for 6 months, and we talk about, we meet up on, what do they call it? A retreat these days, or an offsite or whatever. That's when I want to find out about the running. You know, I found out about a guy who works for us called Igor. Excuse me. I found out about how passionate he was with running in Cannes when we went to ECC, I think it was, in Cannes last year. The years emerged into one, so it must have been last year. And he said, "Oh, Rob, I've signed up to this running club at 7 a.m. Will you do it with me?" And Alex was there as well, another colleague. And that's when I found out, and that's when it was exciting. We did this running club at 6:30 in the morning around the piers and stuff like that. They killed it. They hammered me. I'm not a runner. It's not on my CV. But that's when I wanted to learn about things like that, about their interests and their hobbies. Not
so
when I'm
true.
screaming.
And maybe you put the extra caveat is, if you're like Olympic rower or like that sort of level, include it. Like if you're Olympic level, or like if you were literally played in the Premier League for a couple of, for a few seasons, put it in. But if it's, I just like running, amazing. Be secretly awesome is a phrase I love. And when my colleague shared this with me, I'm like, that's it. That's like secretly awesome. Weirdly enough, it's actually a bit of the mandate with Bondex as well, which is we feel like there's a lot of great talent that is overlooked because they're not awesome on social media, and maybe their CV isn't optimized to the nth degree, but they're just unbelievable workers, head down hard workers, and we feel like there is a discovery talent pool that needs to be created for those types of people, which is definitely what we're building. But Rob, one of the things I'd love to get from you before we wrap up is, what can someone do this week if they're looking for a role? What are the super practical steps that they can go ahead and do if they need or want a job in Web3 today?
Okay. It would require a lot of work, but I can't guarantee success, but I can guarantee you be in a better position having done it than having not done it. And that would be, begin with research. Let's say research 10 companies that you like the look of, 10 companies that you would love to work at. Be realistic. Don't start researching, Google, Amazon, etc., etc. Be realistic. 10 companies that really catch your eye, and understanding the reasons they catch your eye, not just because of the logo looks cool. Once you found those 10 companies, research the field within the companies. So what area are you looking for? You're looking for marketing, you're looking for developer roles, engineering roles, you're looking to be on the product team, anything like that. Then what I would do next is I would look at their recent releases, and I'd look at things that I could have done differently. So I would see what they've released recently, see how I could have done it differently and how maybe it could have improved it, or look at areas that they fell short, look at sort of social platforms they're falling short on, look at code that the glitches in the websites or anything like that they're falling short on. And I'd put together a bit of a roadmap. Now, everyone hates going, "Oh, I did an interview and they asked me to do a roadmap for them over the next 3 months. And, I'm not going to do it because this, that." Okay, well, you won't get the job because someone out there will do it. So
they're hungry.
Yeah, exactly. They're hungry for it. And when you look at this senior protocol developer working at xyz.com, don't be jealous that they're working there. They're having a great time. They're flying all over the world, or they're just regarded as super, super, super coders. Or super marketers, because they're grinding 24/7 every day. So the competition is better than you right now because you're not doing it. So research the companies, research the area you want to work in, create yourself a roadmap, then reach out to them and say, "Look, Like, this is me. Put yourself on a page. This is me. This is what I've seen you've done recently. Here's ideas I think you could have done differently. Start pushing out on the post if it's on a marketing side. Start writing your own sort of platforms for them and pushing forward. But I really think you just need to take control of it. Don't just write your CV and ping it 1,000 times. Get it onto a job board that's sort of verified. Verify yourself on all platforms. Look at other areas that you can push forward, and then attach your roadmap, attach your plan, your 3-month plan, anything like that. If you're really looking for the job, do the work. You don't become a Premier League footballer from kicking it around in the back garden.
Yeah.
You do the work, you have the discipline, you push forward.
I love this because I feel like there's a lot of soft advice out there of, just keep applying, don't get disheartened, it's going to be okay. Whereas I think kind of in the same vein of, no, like, be aggressive. If a hiring manager is going to take 30 minutes to kind of sit down with you and kind of suss out, are you, going to good enough to be, go to that next stage, then why don't you just spend your own 30 minutes, just call it an hour, spend 30 minutes just creating a bunch of ideas, a quick Figma board of, hey, I took a look, here's just some quick thoughts that I like or things that I would implement. I vibe coded one of our guys this week, rather than kind of give his report, he just vibe coded a report. It took him 15-20 minutes. And I'm like, it looks awesome. And it was super cool. It was like interactive. I'm like, that's so much better than just like a bullet point list. And it creates a talking point. It is so easy to stand out, because when your competition is PDFs, I mean, come on, like it is so much easier. And like you say, the people who have got that spot or who are given these roles, they've either gone out to conferences and just connected and like being that person, or they've just sought out specific roles that they love and companies that really take their eye, dropped a voice note to the founder and said, hey, really love what you're building. Here are 10 ideas that just came to me top of mind that I think would be amazing. I'd love to help implement. Or they don't even have to be saying the hiring as well. That's another point I'd love to shout out here is just finding companies that you really want to work for is often half the battle of like, what kind of company is going to bring the best out of you. Yeah. Anything else, Robert? Anything there? Any other gems? That was awesome.
No, I completely agree. I think it's just, it's a brutal world, and the more money you earn, the more brutal it gets. So I think that in order to get there, you just need to be brutal with yourself, push yourself forward. Nobody's handing anything to anyone. The people who are in the positions they're in are there because they've worked hard for it. And those who haven't are usually some of the first layoffs that happen. So yeah, just keep pushing forward, stay determined. Don't take this as a downhearted approach. Take this as stand up from your desk now, get yourself into another room, get yourself into a certain headspace, get writing a plan, get writing your next 10-day plan, right? What companies do I really like the look of, and why do I like the look of them? What area do I want to be working in? What research can I do on them? Who can I reach out to? What's the next conference coming on? Money aside, obviously not everyone can go and fly to Singapore to a conference there, but there's so many virtual conferences that you can join that you don't need to book any flights or hotel rooms. You can get online. You can jump on Decentraland. There's so many different conferences. Push forward on that side.
I love it. Well, Robert, we're going to wrap up there. And a big thanks as well to Stephen, Daviti, and Alejandro for sharing your profiles there. I hope we weren't too brutal with you. Rob, thank you so much. This is absolute gold. Really, really appreciate it. Taking the time to speak to the Web3 career community, the Bondex community, and the Decentraland community. Super, super cool. And Rob, where can people find you if they want to connect?
Yeah, they can find me on X. They can find me on LinkedIn. I'm sure you can, if you message me, I'm sure you can get my Telegram one way or another. But if you want to jump onto our website, hy.pe/talent, there's a really easy form there you can fill out and reach out to any of us.
Awesome. Guys, till the next one, we're going to do another one of these in a month's time, and looking like it's going to be with our partner, Matana, who do on-chain education. We're going to be helping people do everything they need to do to get upskilled. So that's going to be the next one coming up in a month's time. But for now, thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you on the next one.